I now declare the September Agenda Briefing Forum open at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all of those in attendance. I now invite Deputy Mayor Wheatland to read the acknowledgement to country.
Is it coming up on the screen? The City of Melville acknowledges the Bibbulmun people as the traditional owners of the land on which the city stands today and pays its respects to the Whadjuk people and elders both past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Now I draw your attention to the disclaimer on the screen. The affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on the screen. The advice of audio-visual live streaming and recording on the screen. Purpose of the Agenda Briefing Forum on the screen. Okay, so attendance and apologies. We have the following councillors attending electronically with my permission. Can you please confirm your attendance? Councillor Spanbrook.
I'm in attendance. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. There are no apologies for this meeting. And finally, Councillor Woodall and Councillor Barber are on approved leaves of absence. I take this opportunity to advise the meeting that former councillor Thomas Fitzgerald resigned from his office last week, with his resignation being effective immediately. This has resulted in a vacancy in the Palmyra Melville Willagee ward at this time. Now, declarations by members. Now we've moved on to declarations by members. Are there any declarations by members who have not read and given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers presented before the meeting? Are there any declarations by members who have received and not read the elected members' bulletin? Announcements by the presiding member. Approved deputations. We have one deputation which has been approved for tonight's meeting from Mr M McCarthy of Alfred Cove in relation to item UP 2585, amendment to DA 2024 681/A, home business modification of approval at Lot 2, number 1A, Latham Street, Alfred Cove. I will call you forward prior to the discussion of this item to make your deputation to the council. Approved written submissions. There are no written submissions that have been received for this meeting. Number 5, disclosure of interest. Can the Head of Governance please advise if there are any disclosures of interest that have been received? Thank you, Ms Newman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No disclosures have been received for this evening. Thank you.
Are there any further disclosures from elected members? All right, if there are no disclosures, we'll move on to item 6, public question time. I now open the public question time at 6:34 p.m. We have not received any questions in writing prior to the meeting, and we have no questions with notice that have been received for this evening. Are there any questions from the public? If there are no questions, I now close public question time at 6:34 p.m. Moving on to item 7, awards and presentations. This item will be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting. Applications for new leave of absence. This item will be dealt with at the ordinary meeting of council. Number 9, confirmation of minutes. This item will be dealt with at the ordinary meeting of council. Number 10, new business of an urgent nature. There is no new business of an urgent nature. Item 11, identification of matters for which meeting may be closed. There are no items that have been identified as confidential, having confidential attachments. Item 12, this item is detailed in the agenda for the ordinary meeting of council to be held Tuesday, 16th of September. And number 13, adoption of recommendations en bloc. This item will be dealt with at the ordinary meeting of councils. Councillor, and we now move on to reports. For the convenience of those providing a deputation this evening, I will bring forward item UP 2585, amendment to DA 2024 681/A, home business modification to condition approval at Lot 2, number 1A Latham Street in Alfred Cove. Mr. McCarthy, will you please now make your way forward to the microphone to make your deputation? You will have 10 minutes to speak with a further 5 minutes for elected members to ask questions. Please turn your mic on.
Thank you. Cottage Music Institute operates as a home business and a community service. I've been offering these specialist musicianship and music theory classes for 28 years, and it's the only program of its kind in Australia. Since COVID, I've been offering the classes in my home. Cottage offers a wonderful play-based recreational learning environment, one that is highly valued by the music community. Many of the parents that bring their children to my classes are music teachers. Many are former students of mine at the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts, WAPA, that want their children to develop their musicianship skills from a young age. I did my postgraduate training at the Kodai Institute in Hungary, the only school of its kind in the world. Hungary has the highest standard of music education in the world. One of the reasons for starting this school is that I found that many of my university students could play music to a high level but couldn't read or write beyond a basic level. So their skills were out of sync. These students could play sonatas but couldn't write Twinkle Twinkle. My job was to teach them to read, write, and understand music. I realized that they had to start much earlier, so I set up a community program where children could develop skills through play from the age of 2. These classes have no assessments, no grades, and no certification. But the longer the student is in the program, the better they get. This program was not set up to create professional musicians, yet many students that have attended my program are now some of the best teachers and performers, not just in the local community, but nationally and internationally. Others have become musical lawyers, doctors, scientists, engineers, for whom music provides a sense of balance in their life. What I teach the children is similar to what I would teach university students, but is broken down into age-appropriate steps so that they can absorb and develop skills through movement and play at their own pace. These parents know the value of the training being offered, and they want their children to have access to a high-quality local community program. For classes like this to work, a reasonable number of students is needed to create the right atmosphere in which children learn by osmosis. Having a reasonable number of students is also essential for the viability of the home business. I run the classes even if there are as few as 2 or 3 students. I believe in inclusion. I'm developing music pedagogy for profoundly deaf children, some of whom are coming to my class. Having the flexibility to have up to 12 students will allow for natural ebbs and flows that come when parents have other commitments, such as football training. This is a community service for all ages and abilities, operating from my home studio. Because I have a musical family, the studio was purpose-built for music. It is fully soundproofed. The acoustic report states that my studio can accommodate as many as 18 students. For a group learning dynamic, you do need somewhere between 9 and 12 students to capture the energy that leads to high-level learning, and anyone that has seen my classes will vouch for the importance of this energy. The difference between 6 and 12 students isn't great, but from an educational and economic perspective, it is critical. The students that come to my classes also study with instrumental teachers in the community. Students that attend my classes, when introduced to an instrument, develop their skills quicker than other students. They think faster, they play more naturally, and this has been reported to me by many instrumental teachers in the community. In later years, they develop into some of the quickest thinking musicians you will find. One thing I realized when I was in Hungary is that people that dedicate their life to the study of music are actually become the custodians of the art. We pass it on to the next generation, and they in turn will pass it on. I'd like to introduce you to two of my students, Jacob and Jacinta, who have attended my classes for quite a few years already and who study violin with a local teacher. Even at their age, they're actually highly musically literate. They'd like to play something for you, and I think that the skills I'm talking about will be evident from what they do. It's called Ihr Kinderlein kommet. Come, little children.
Well, thank you very much for that lovely repertoire. That was absolutely beautiful. So now we're moving on to questions for Mr. McCarthy. Are there any questions? Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks, Mr. McCarthy, for your presentation, and thank you also for the beautiful performance to our two special performers there. Mr. McCarthy, I've just got a question about the parking, because I believe that's one of the main reasons that the officers aren't supportive of the application. So could you tell us how many parking bays there are currently on site and whether there is an opportunity for more bays to be provided? Thank you.
Mr. McCarthy.
There's room there for about 5 cars to park, and there's I've actually put together a detailed parking plan for parents that shows up to 300 parking spaces within 400 metres of the studio, which is just a few minutes walk. There's Bill Sweet Park, which has about 9 parking bays on one side. It has about 12 to 14 parking spaces on the other side. And there's a lot of street parking. There's parking on Groves Avenue, about 17 car bays down there. On Hislop Road, there's about 20 car bays down there, both, City of Melville parking spots plus street parking, park parking. And in the 4 years that I've been running my classes there, I've never had any issue with anybody who's coming to my classes with relation to parking. The parents that park at my studio park on the grass, they park facing the fence, and they don't park on the road, so they don't block the road, they don't cause any traffic issues. And it's only a couple of times in the day for maybe 5 minutes where anybody's even coming or going. It's minimal compared to any other business around, and compared to some of the other spots in the city of Melville. I would call it absolutely minimal traffic issue. plus the parents have been amazing. I know all the parents very well, said that nobody will park in a place that's awkward. Every single one of my neighbours has signed a letter to support the studio. None of them have had any complaint about parking. And the only person that did complain about one car parking about July 2024 was actually complaining about somebody who was building down on the Canning Highway where the disability units are. They were building 20 disability units. And we had about 20 to 25 tradespeople parking on Latham Street at that time and leaving their rubbish behind and causing a general problem, actually. But that's not there now.
Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks very much there, Mr. McCarthy. It is unfortunate, as I am online, the sound did not come through at all. So I have been told that it was absolutely beautiful, so I will go with that. In saying that, I understand that you need to have at least up to 12. You did say that your studio can take 16 students. So therefore, without going into too much financial detail, can you please explain, for being a home business, why does it need to be to have like up to 12 students for it to be financially viable, considering it's a home business? Thank you.
One of the reasons is that there are only so many hours in a day when you can teach music. Children go to school, so you can't teach those students while they're at school. You can only teach them after school. So we're talking students can attend a class between 3:30 and 6:30, and after that it's not possible. So, young children can come to a class in the morning, but there's only so many hours in a day where somebody can teach anyway. Anybody who's ever worked as a teacher will know that. So having a reasonable number of students, it's actually not, the financial aspect of it is important, but the actual learning environment is even more important. If you restrict numbers to 6, you're going to be very sure that you'll probably have 5 or 4 in there any given week, and you can't play a circle game with children on the floor when one is running around chasing the other and there's only 2 other people sitting on the floor. It's not a circle anymore. If anybody, and I've invited everybody to come and see my class to see for themselves, but the dynamic is, you have to have 9, 10, 11 students in a room to have the type of learning environment in which these children absorb all the concepts. So it's actually more an educational issue. But of course, when you're doing this as for a living, it's obviously important to have enough people in the class to make it viable.
A follow-up question, please, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Then in saying that, how long is each session? Because I understand what you're saying after school. So you do 4 to 7 during the week and also Saturdays. So is each session, say if you had 6 students, is it for an hour or do you have them a number of hours? Thank you.
They have a lesson for 45 minutes and then there are breaks between classes.
Thank you, Mr.
So
McCarthy. Councillor Spanbrook, have you finished?
Could I also add that the lessons actually, I run these classes for 28 weeks of the year because I also run a mentoring program for teachers in schools. So the impact on the local environment is minimal because it's not even running all year round. So.
Okay.
So is it fair to say then, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, is it fair to say then, Mr. McCarthy, that during the week, 4 to 7, you would run 4 classes per weekday?
No, actually I run 2 on a Tuesday afternoon, and we have 3 on a Wednesday afternoon, and 2 on Tuesday morning, and 2 on Thursday morning. It's just in my application I put in Monday to Saturday, 7 to 7, so that I don't have to come back to the council and ask if I can run a class on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. It's just to allow flexibility to run classes at the times when children are able to come to the classes. That's the reason for that.
Follow up again, please, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Spanbrook, is this your last question? There are some other questions.
This one. Yes, this is the last question. So Is there, so you're saying there's not a demand for perhaps 4 sessions or 3 or 4 sessions during the week there, Mr. McCarthy? Or is it just that's your preference?
It's not a question of demand, it's just that I actually do mentoring of teachers in schools. The work that's developed in this studio is very important actually for the local teaching community, because I share the pedagogy with teachers who are inexperienced and need the material, need training. So I also set up a charitable foundation to bring music into schools, and that's what I do the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you, Mr McCarthy. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Wheatland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you, and thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for your presentation, and thanks to the maestros in training for their incredible performance. I have been a person who was trained in music from a young age, so I understand the flexibility that you need, especially when you're competing with sports and tutoring and everything like that. But I grew up in a country town as well, and I progressed from group guitar sessions, to the flute. And I remember going to my flute lessons and it was one-on-one. So does that vary, the numbers in each class that you teach, the different types of, do you teach lots of different instruments, or is it?
Yeah, I'm teaching them musicianship, so it's singing,
Okay.
rhythm, reading, writing, so they're learning how to read and write, but they don't know that that's what they're learning. They learn it by accidental, sort of almost by discovery. So the aim is for them to tell you how it works, and you don't tell them how it works, but that they make those discoveries through the games that are played. So I'm not teaching them instruments, actually. And
Right, okay.
if you're teaching an instrument, there's a limit to how many students you're going to be able to teach successfully. But in what I'm doing, you need to have more people to have the dynamic.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you need the class, like the classrooms. I'm going to come and check out your setup this week, Mr. McCarthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. McCarthy, thank you for your deputation, and to the musicians who've just left. I understand that you also provide teaching for deaf children. Could you briefly explain how that works? I mean, it seems a fairly difficult task, and is it common? There are a number of other schools that also provide the same, or is this fairly unique to your school?
No, I don't know of any other school that actually is working with deaf children. I'll take one example of a mother that contacted me to say that she had approached 4 or 5 different teachers to try and teach her 7-year-old who went deaf when she was 3.5 years of age after contracting meningitis. Her mother was devastated. I rang her. She approached me about coming to my classes a number of times and then didn't turn up. So one day I rang her and I said, just tell me about your daughter. So she told me her story. She said, it's like falling into a black hole, not knowing how to help your child. But she was adamant that she would learn music. And I said, well, bring her along to my class. She can come along to my class. I don't actually charge her for coming to the class. I said, look, this is experimental. I don't really know if what I'm going to do will work, but I suspect that 75% of the skills that I'm teaching can be learned by somebody who's deaf. So she can't hear anything. Everything she learns will have to be by senses such as visual and tactile, feeling, sound. So over the course of some months, I've actually developed a system for her to learn to read, write, play, and her mum sends me videos of her practicing at home. It's now turned out that what I've been doing with her is helping her to learn how to speak. This girl is super quick. She can do American Sign Language, Auslan, and she also does a thing called Cute Speech, where they have 8 different signs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And they all represent 3 or 4 consonants, and they have vowels in 4 different placements. So if you put the right consonant with the right vowel, they know what the syllable is, what the phonic is. So they can do these signs in real time in the speed that you would speak. And that is then connected to the way we write, reading and writing, whereas Auslan isn't actually connected to reading and writing. So children who only learn Auslan don't necessarily learn to read and write until later, and then they're behind in reading and writing, whereas people who learn cue speech are learning to read and write from an earlier age. So music is helping her through nursery rhymes and other things to actually learn to read and write and speak. So I'm also developing, because it happens that her older brother's a speech pathologist, I'm actually working with him on techniques that I use in choral training to clarify which vowel is being sung by somebody, so when somebody sings an elongated syllable, you know exactly what that word is, and I've suggested ways to experiment to see if that will help her, and that's actually working very well as well. So the idea with this pedagogy is that there'll be a system where I can show signs in the air for which rhythm patterns we're doing. She can clap them back. She can do everything the others are doing in real time. And the pedagogy that's being developed will then be shared with children in deaf schools. Where there is no pedagogy, actually, for music education. People just believe, they just don't think they can learn music. I don't believe that, so.
Thank you, Mr McCarthy. Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. You mentioned that there were 25 tradespeople that are working on the construction site, which when the job finishes, then they will not be causing the parking problem. So would it help if the city officials or council officials were to actually visit the site at the peak of the problem? Would that help if some of our people were to come out and have a look at what is the problem that has been sort of compounded over how long? 1 year. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I think the issue is somebody sees a car parked in an awkward place, and they look around and think where you know, whose business is associated with, and also, you know, so in that case, in July 2024, it happened to be somebody across the road from me who thought that it was somebody coming to me, and turns out that it wasn't. But the complaint still went through, and the planning department wouldn't have known that it wasn't related to my business. But to try and help with that, I actually send parents a little sign that says Cottage Music Institute parking, and they can put that on their dashboard. So if they are parking anywhere nearby, people know they're coming to me. And if they don't have it there, they're not coming to me. So I mean, it's difficult if you're trying to build 20 disability units on the Canning Highway. Where exactly are those tradespeople going to park? You know, they're going to park somewhere if it's raining, they're not going to park very far away. So, of course, they're going to have an impact on the local environment. And not only were they building, but I had two people straight across from my studio who were also building at the same time. But all of those projects have been completed now, you know, so.
Councillor Hong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your deputation, Mr. McCarthy. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume that for 2 or even 3-year-old children, parents would attend the class with their little ones. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, which means there will be 12, like say, maximum number of students for that class. That means 12 students plus 12 adults will be in the class with them.
Yeah, you need to come and see. Yeah, but the studio is 50 square meters in size, and these 2-year-olds are very small, you know. Adults are big and children are tiny, so they can sit on their lap. So they take about the space of one person, you know. Whereas these children, when they're in my class, if there are 12 of them, you wouldn't even, you know, they don't take up not even a quarter of the floor space. I can show you a photo of what that looks like. But this is what the children, when you have 12 children in there. And you're right, you know, 12 would be about as many young children as you could have in there. But with those children, you could easily have 18, but I don't need to have 18 in there, you know. I mean, it's a sort of a self-limiting thing. If there are too many people in a room, people won't come to it. It's simple as that, you know.
Councillor Hong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So my concern is that I just want to ensure that, you know, the music studio is safe and suitable space for, you know, to accommodate 24 people. I mean, it doesn't matter the size of the person. It's more with the number of people in that space at one time, if that makes sense. So in case of emergency, is there any adequate like say fire or exit escape plans?
Yeah, there are 3 exit points.
Okay. Alrighty.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's the parents and the children are within 3 meters of an exit point. They're very close to 3 different doors.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions from elected members? Oh, Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just following up on the question about the parking, Mr McCarthy, is there an opportunity to provide parking within the property boundary? So I guess I mean not on the verge, so beyond the property line, on the property within the parcel itself?
There's a picket fence there. So no.
Okay, so you wouldn't be willing to make changes to that to allow the parking to be accommodated within?
Well, then it wouldn't. Then it would cause safety issues because children are safe within the fence. When they arrive and they come in the gate, they're safe inside there. And if there was no gate, then they wouldn't be safe because they could run out onto the road. So they're actually safer having a fence.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Councillor Wheatland.
Thank you, and thank you for your diligence in answering the questions. Would you say that there's a large proportion of your students and families that don't get to your business by car? I'm just looking at a survey that was conducted here, and there seems to be a lot of children that don't get there by car.
Yeah, because there are 3 or 4 different buses that pass within 30 meters walk of the studio. People come on foot, and some people cycle. Some people ride share, so they'll travel with a friend. So they, less than half of the people are coming by car.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Are there any further questions? If there are no further questions, thank you very much, Mr McCarthy.
Thank you. Should we go?
Now, Mr Free is Acting Director Planning. He's available to take questions on this item. Are there any questions? Councillor Edinger.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Madam Mayor, sorry about that. I'm just wondering if Mr Free can tell me if the property on the corner of Janes Road and Canning Highway, which is known as the academic group, if they are considered to be an educational institution.
Mr Free.
Excuse me. Madam Mayor, I'd need to take that question on notice.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Councillor Hong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Free, does this studio meet the safety requirement standards as a business? Thank you.
Mr Free.
Madam Mayor, we don't have any concerns with the business from a safety issue perspective. The only concern that's been raised is parking and then traffic associated.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Councillor Wheatland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, just curious as to why, just flicking back to the page where I saw this, in 2021, this business has started operating. Hang on, I'm nearly there. And there was no issue with cars and parking. And I wondered, parking has not been an issue since 2021. What's changed, please?
Mr Free.
Madam Mayor, I'm not sure that anything has actually changed in terms of how the business operates. As I understand it, the business was operating before the city was aware of it. I think we became aware of it when a complaint was made about one vehicle parking in the street, and then a request was made for application to be made to the city, and an application was made. There was an approval granted, and then there were a request for conditions to be modified, essentially around the hours of operation and the number of students that are permitted. The current approval has a limit on 6 students being at the premises at any one time, and the request that council is dealing with is a request that be increased to 12 students. It's acknowledged that the residents within the street in very close proximity to the business have not objected to the proposal when it's been most recently advertised. I think there's also an acknowledgement that the operator of the business manages the parents that are using the facility very well in terms of where they should park and giving them options of places where they can park to access the business.
Thank you. Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the same vein as the previous question, I did neglect to ask Mr McCarthy this question, but Mr Free may be able to answer it, that the original application, it had the number of clients, it reads here, at any one time to 1 and limited hours of 10 to 12, 4 to 7 during the week. So therefore, as the similar previous question, that it's gone from 1 now to 12. So, what has changed? And secondly, that Mr McCarthy did mention a number of parking areas that were up to 400 metres away from his property. Can Mr Free also, or the Acting Director, please explain the locations that Mr McCarthy is referring to, and are they utilised by any sporting groups or any recreational groups? Thank you.
Mr Free.
Madam Mayor, just to explain the original approval that was granted by the City in March of this year did have a condition that limited the number of clients to visit the business at any one time as being 1. And then there were further restrictions on the hours that the business could operate. There was a request that those conditions be modified, and that did occur in June of this year, where the conditions relating to the hours allowed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday, which, as I understand, Mr McCarthy was and is comfortable with. And in June of this year, the approval that was issued by officers increased the number of clients to 6. The officers ended in a situation with there being 6 clients at any one time, as that was the number that they were comfortable with in terms of this continuing to be a home business. In terms of other locations for people to park, as part of the application, and it is in the attachment, a number of locations have been identified within, I think, 300 metres of the 300 or 400 metres of the site. Quite a few locations have been identified. That includes the ability to park on the street, adjacent to parks, and that may also include some parks that are used by sporting facilities. What Mr McCarthy has sought to illustrate there is that there is quite a large number of car parks available within walking distance of the business.
Thank you, Mr Free. Moving on to Councillor Edinger.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to say I'm absolutely astonished that a parking complaint about 1 car has resulted in the city not being small business friendly, not providing more red tape than you have.
Sorry, this sounds like a debate. Is it a question?
I'm getting to my question. Getting more red tape than you'd find at Spotlight, and it's really taken a lot of time and effort for Mr. McCarthy to try and get his business running in a way that enables him to do it to meet his pedagogical style. So I'm just wondering if you're able to elaborate on why the city has been, approached it this way, being what to me is, it looks like not working collaboratively and not being small business friendly and not trying to reduce red tape, all over one car parking complaint. It just seems over the top. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Free.
Well, Madam Mayor, the one complaint did result in the city requesting that an application for planning approval be lodged. The fact that a business was operating from that premises without planning approval necessitated the submission of an application for planning approval, which was then submitted to the city. I guess in the end, I think with the first approval in March, there may have been a misunderstanding of what was essentially being requested. But then the June approval and the restriction on 6 clients being at the property, that is, in the assessment of the officers, the maximum that would normally be permitted in a residential area for a home business. And given the request to extend that number or increase that number, the decision was made that the application should come to council for council to make that decision to increase it beyond 6 if council saw fit. And it certainly is acknowledged that it has operated for some time. The business has operated for some time without complaint in relation to traffic and parking. Officers are somewhat concerned that if this business was allowed to have up to 12 clients, that then may result in an expectation that all home businesses would be allowed to have 12 clients visiting at any point in time. However, I would note that this is a particular situation where the property is quite close to Canning Highway. It is next door to a medical clinic, has operated for a number of years without complaint, and so it's certainly open to council to reach a different conclusion in terms of the business than what officers have.
Thank you, Mr. Free. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Wheatland.
I just want to clarify what was just relayed then, if I may, Madam Mayor. So are you saying, Mr. Free, please, that before the complaint was made that this business wasn't registered with the city?
Mr. Free.
Yes, that's my understanding, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Mr. Free, can I ask whether City of Melville has, it's a two-part question, whether City of Melville has previously allowed an increased number of clients for home business before? Thank you.
Mr. Free.
Mayor, I won't be able to answer that question tonight beyond the assessment of officers. And my understanding is that home businesses where they have clients coming to the house in Melville, they're generally less than 6.
Thank you. And I guess the part 2 of my question is, if there is one, like, is it historically limited to a 12-month period? Because I'm just looking at condition 12. A further application would be required to extend the approval after 12 months. So does this mean they have to apply every 12 months for extending from 6 clients to 12 clients? Thank you.
Mr. Free.
Madam Mayor, the condition is that the approval is limited to 12 months, so there would be a requirement for a new application to be lodged. I have assumed that if the decision is made that 12 clients are permitted, and that after the 12-month period, that there are no concerns received by the city, that the further approval would be granted with the 12 clients. That potentially would be reviewed if there was complaints were received. I also note that one of the conditions has that this approval relates directly to this operator. So it doesn't transfer automatically that someone else can come in and operate this business or a similar type business at that property with this approval.
Thank you. I just have a tiny question after this. So does he have to go back into council during Madam Mayor, like after 12 months for that further application?
Mr. Free?
Madam Mayor, I'm assuming if there's no objections received, it wouldn't come back to council.
Thank you. Councillor Spanbrook?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question to the acting director, that if this business did manage to get council resolution on up to 12 clients, can you please advise if there are any building compliance issues that need to be approved for that to take place, to go from 6 to 12? Thank you.
Mr. Free?
Madam Mayor, not if it's approved as a home business.
Thank you. Councillor Edinger?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So you said that 6 is the number that the city allows. I may have misinterpreted what you said. I've just looked through local planning policy 6 and it doesn't enumerate any numbers of people for educational establishments or home businesses. So is it in any other documentation of the city? Thank you.
Mr. Free?
Madam Mayor, no, I don't believe you will find it in a policy or a document. I'm referring to the practice of officers and the discretion that they've applied in other cases.
Thank you very much. Are there any further questions? Councillor Wheatland?
Thank you. Through you. Discretion. That's a word that stands out to me. Can we get a little bit more understanding as to how that discretion is decided? Like, how is that analysed, the discretion? Because, dare I say it, in the 8 years that I've been on council, I've heard it used many times, and sometimes I think it would be of great benefit for that discretion to be used for the benefit of the resident if everything lines up rather than the other way around. And with the utmost respect, I'm not casting any dispersions on anyone, but I just wondered if we could use discretion in a way that may benefit the home business owner. Thanks.
Mr. Free?
Madam Mayor, it is certainly open to council to use its discretion, and that if council wants to use its discretion, there is at the end of the report the wording that council might like to consider if it wants to increase the number of clients to 12. The discretion is essentially under the definition of the home business. There are two clauses there that are entirely subjective. So it's perfectly possible that you and I, for example, might reach a different conclusion to these two clauses, and that they are: does this business adversely affect the amenity of the neighbourhood? That's the first test. That's clause B under the home business definition, and then clause E: does this business cause traffic difficulties resulting from the inadequacy of parking and increased traffic volumes. That's the discretion. It's entirely subjective, which means that you and I could both reach different conclusions on our individual assessments against those two criteria around the amenity and the impact on the traffic, or the traffic impact because of the lack of parking.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Councillor Spanbrook?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last question from me. That with this home business being treated as an educational establishment, that this may have to be taken on notice, Mr. Free. Are there any other businesses throughout the city of Melville that are educational, and as such, and perhaps would have up to 12 clients, shall I say? Thank you.
Mr. Free?
Madam Mayor, so I'd have to take that one on notice.
Thank you. Councillor Edinger, did you want to speak, or is your microphone just on? Oh, thank you. Okay, so are there any further questions for officers? Councillor Green.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for Acting Director. Mr. Free, I was just wondering if there is an issue at Patterson Place, which could be in some ways comparable. It involves music and parking. Is this something you're aware of, and has that perhaps been a consideration as in a recent example of perhaps where neighbourly support or can actually be the opposite to what we're experiencing here?
Mr. Free?
Madam Mayor, unfortunately, I'm not aware of that property and that situation. I'm not sure it's been actively part of the consideration of this request.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? All right, thank you. We're moving on to the next item. Item number C25-307, Common Seal, September. Any questions? Right, item C25-308, investment statements. Any questions? Next item, C25-309, schedule of accounts. Any questions? Right, item C310, statements of financial activity. Any questions? Right, moving on to C25-309, schedule of accounts. Item C25-310, statements of financial activity. Item, which one? That one. That one. Oh, I just did that one. UP 2584, proposed 10 lot subdivision at the numbers 740 and 742, Canning Highway in Applecross. Are there any questions? Mr. Free is available to take questions. There's no questions. We're moving on to item 15, motions with previous notice. There are no motions with previous notice for consideration. Item 16, matters for which the meeting was closed to the public. There were no items that have been identified as confidential or having confidential attachments. Number 17, decisions made while meeting was closed to the public. For the purposes of the minutes, there was no items discussed behind closed doors. 18, closure. Before I close the meeting, I advise that the following late items will be included in the final agenda for the 16th of September ordinary meeting of Council. A petition from Mr. Waugh relating to community participation in policy review matters. An item 25-313, governance framework biennial review 2025 is considered by the Governance Committee last night. Officers are currently speaking with the West Australian Electoral Commission in relation to filling the vacancy in Palmyra Melville Willagee Ward, and if possible, a late item relating to this matter will be provided. For the purposes of the minutes, can the following councillors please confirm they're still in attendance? Councillor Spanbrook.
In attendance. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. If there being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 7:25 p.m. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.